Are you looking for a very premium small SUV, a subcompact SUV, and you want something that really does exude a lot of style, a lot of taste? Then Peugeot has the all-new Lion in town for you. This one right here is the Peugeot 2008 SUV, the newest Lion in town. Today we're gonna look if this car is as good as its bigger brothers, the Peugeot 3008 and the 5008. Beginning with exterior styling and the 2008's proposition of being as good as the 3008 and the 5008 is starting to look pretty good. I mean, take a look at this car from the front. It has a very aggressive design, somewhat of a frameless grille, and I really love how Peugeot gave you the best mix between some piano black, some chrome on it, and of course also LED headlights, full LED headlights with the 3 signature lion claw design. Of course, the Peugeot badge is looking nice as always, and also the 2008 badge by the center of the hood. Some pretty aggressive lines on the hood, very dramatic actually. And then down below also is this like claw or fang of a lion. Unfortunately though, there is a fake vent over here, but we can easily look past that because of just how good this front end looks. Apparently, Peugeot 2008 is a 1.2-liter turbocharged gasoline engine, and this is also an inline 3 by the way, making 130 horsepower and 230 newton meters of torque, mated to a 6-speed automatic transmission. On the side, I really love how the Peugeot 2008 may be an SUV with adequate ground clearance for Manila streets, but it still is rather small, making it very manageable in Manila roads. Take a look at the length and also the height of this car. It just is pretty compact, or subcompact for that matter. Instead of giving you a lot of chrome, they stuck with piano black, a lot of it actually, including here just in front of the wing mirror, and it gives a more youthful look. Black roof rails up top as well, 17-inch rims, and I also love this molding down below and also these 2 triangular lines on either of the doors. Plus, you also get a lot of piano black over here just behind the rear window, giving you a very beautiful floating roof effect. And then towards the rear of the 2008, what I really appreciate over here is that you get 2 legitimate exhausts. So no fake exhaust in this car, more of that piano black, 3 more of these lion claws for your tail lamps, all LEDs too, and of course Peugeot spelled out for you. Reverse camera and reverse sensors as well. Then once you open up your tailgate, space is actually pretty good for a car this size. What I don't get though is why this parcel shelf doesn't have anything to automatically lift that up, but that is just a minor flaw anyway. You can also fold down the rear seat 60/40 for extra space, and if you open up your false floor, you also get your tools and your space saver spare tire. Here inside the 2008, we check the door thud first. That sounds really good. I love these Peugeot doors. Now, obviously, the interior materials of the 2008 will be a little bit less, just a tad bit compared to its bigger brothers. Nonetheless, for this class, it still is very excellent. So you do lose some of your soft touch, but they do feel very durable here up top, here on the side, and even here towards the center. Other materials used here would include a lot of piano black, unfortunately, a little bit of a scratch magnet and dust magnet, and also this faux carbon fiber trim just above the 2-stack dashboard. The steering wheel, shape-wise and functionality, it's very similar to its bigger brother, so flat top, flat bottom, very small, very ergonomic and easy to reach, but it's no longer leather covered, so it feels like plastic or maybe a very thin wrapping of leather. Either way, still very easy to hold and pretty good on the hands. Now, the instrument cluster on this car really makes up for the rest of the interior materials because this one is 3D. So you have your typical 10-inch screen towards the back, but then there is another screen with a projector from above, which really makes it look like it's floating as if it's a heads-up display. And the way it's set up is just pretty high to the point that you really don't need a different heads-up display. You don't need to look down on your instrument cluster when you're driving even at high speeds. I love this system. And then towards the center is a 7-inch touchscreen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto just wired. And while it is very clear, it's very responsive, the menus are a little bit hard to get used to, but once you get used to it, it's not bad. And it also comes with a reverse camera and also a top-down view of your car. You have these buttons, as usual, they look like those used in a Lamborghini. A lot of cubbies, 2 USB ports. Then you have the shifter too. Now, this shifter, if you look at this boot, the leather covering on it, it's actually very similar to what you would see with manual cars, so I just think that's very interesting. But it's still just a regular shifter with manual mode though. Now, behind that, electronic parking brake, 2 cup holders, and a drive mode selection switch. So you get Eco, Normal, and Sport. Just behind all of those is a leather padded armrest, and if you open that, it is so big inside. It's huge, but when you go on over to your glove box, it gets even bigger. That's the deepest glove box that I've ever seen on any car. One more jug holder on the side, and then the seats is very similar to its bigger brothers, which means that it is excellent. Okay, you lose the power functionalities, but the leather on it, it's both supple and firm and durable at the same time. I really love these leather seats that Peugeot uses. The bolsterings are not too aggressive too, although they are present, and they're just really comfortable. Now this car also gets blind spot monitoring, you get active lane keep assist, hill start assist, and you also get autonomous emergency braking, plus 6 airbags all around you. Now the second row of the Peugeot 2008, we check the door first. Also sounds really good. And back here in the 2008, you might think that this car is pretty small, which means that you will not have any space, but at 5'6", which I know isn't the tallest out there, legroom is pretty good, and headroom is also pretty good, as long as I don't lean over towards the side, because I will hit this part of the ceiling. But then, I mean, the space here, even the width, is very comfortable. The seats, the thigh support, they are really excellent. And while I don't get my own air vents and I don't get my own armrest, I do have a tiny bottle holder at the side. And seating 3 people back here is actually very much possible because of, well, the headroom and also the width, or the feeling of the width of the car. One thing though that kids might not like about this car, if you put the windows down, they don't really go that far down. So that's just something that, yeah, only kids will probably notice. So now we drive the Peugeot 2008. And as you get into this car, you'll just notice how incredibly easy it is to drive, especially here in the city, because it's just so compact, yet you get so much space on the inside. The steering is also incredibly light. Then the steering ratio is so fast. You don't really have to turn so much to get like one turn out of this. It's just perfect for these city roads. But not just that, when you do bring this car over to the highway, it's actually even quieter and more insulated and isolated feeling than its bigger brothers, the 3008 and the 5008. And so far in this class, I think this is hands down the most quiet. This is the quietest car on the open road, even when you're going 100 kilometers per hour. The tires on this one, those Goodyear Assurance, are just that good, and really the insulation they give you is perfect. I love this car for both the city and on the highway. Now let's go back to the city though. And in the city, it's so easy to drive, but your visibility, while it's good all around you and parking it is easy because of your reverse camera and 360-degree view top-down camera, I find the A-pillars to be a little bit too thick. So when I'm turning corners, there are times where I do have to bend a little to see that. Power in this car is sent to the front wheels by that 1.2-liter turbocharged engine. And you will expect a 1.2-liter engine to not sound great, but it does, because this car, as far as I check, actually plays fake exhaust notes through the speakers. So it has an incredibly throaty sound. It sounds like an inline 6 from older Mercedes. It sounds beautiful, but yeah, it's fake exhaust note. But I mean, will you complain? Because it sounds incredibly good. So 1.2 liters doesn't sound like much, but really you floor this and it picks up speed really fast. The 6-speed transmission is great. It doesn't hunt for gears, and it's not jerky and slow city speeds. That's the advantage of not having a dual clutch. And really, the power in this one is definitely more than enough. If you didn't know, you would expect this to be at least a 1.5 to 1.8 liter engine. It's so smooth too, despite it being an inline 3, and odd cylinder engines are usually very vibrating. And while there is a little bit of vibration when you're at idle and when you're just getting off of idle, the rest of your journey and the rest of your rev band, the engine will reward you with a very smooth engine experience. Next up is my favorite part about the 2008, the suspension. So this car was not really meant to take corners. It wasn't meant to attack corners. So yes, there is a very noticeable amount of body roll when you like shimmy this hard or you take corners really fast. But for your daily driving needs, it's not too firm. It's not too soft either. It's just comfortable. So my passenger in this car is usually, well, my passenger in my reviews is usually someone with motion sickness, and she approved of the 2008. 10 over 10. She loved the suspension in this car. So if you have someone in your family with motion sickness, they're gonna love the 2008. Fuel economy is also a strong suit, akin to that 1.2-liter small displacement engine. In the city with moderately heavy traffic, you can do 10 kilometers per liter. Take this up over to the open road, and at an average speed of around 80 kilometers per hour, you can do 20 kilometers per liter. The i-Cockpit, it's set up in such a way that it's gonna make you feel like a jet fighter or a jet fighter pilot. And even the warning noises in this car, the warning sounds, they sound like that of a jet. So what do I mean? Watch. Okay, so the car's in drive. I'll remove the parking brake. I'll open the door. Listen to this. That either reminds you, depending on your age, of Top Gun or Voltus 5. Just, I don't know. I find it really amusing for them to have added that thing. It sounds as if you're in a jet fighter, then a missile has locked onto you. So it really gives you the feeling of distress and telling you close your doors immediately. The Peugeot 2008 retails for 1.55 million pesos, significantly cheaper than both its premium Japanese competitors and its German competitors. And still, it delivers absolutely stellar insulation, something that usually cars twice the price can provide you, and it still is very easy to drive in the city. So we go back to the question we first asked at the start of the video. Is it as good, better, or worse as its bigger brothers, the 3008 and the 5008? I would say it's neither better nor worse, but it simply is as good as those other two cars, and Peugeot has not failed to please me once again with their newest lion in town.